So one of the questions being, discuss any preparations you wish you would have done, things you actually didn't need to bring. Any preparations I would have done, nothing. I don't think I would have done anything differently. In terms of things that I didn't need to bring, I don't think I needed to bring as much clothes as I did. And that's the same for when you're first moving into college too. You bring and you overpack way too much. But at least in my situation, I traveled a lot while I was in Singapore to like neighboring countries. So all the time, my like space was limited in the first place. So don't pack as much as you think you need. Don't overpack, don't overthink it. Literally stick to your basics. Like 3 pair of pants, 2 skirts. And this is just general, like whatever is your basics, just kind of bring that and a few, really nice things. But other than that, don't overpack. I wish I didn't bring as much stuff as I did, and which I wasn't too bad because I brought a large suitcase, a medium, and a small one in my backpack, which I thought did pretty well for 5 months, and I fit everything back in when I was leaving too. So that's another thing. If you plan on bringing back a lot of things, you want to leave space in your bag because you will accumulate things. Just even from Singapore and like, student life on NUS, because NUS is such a lively campus. They give out, free things sometimes because things are going on. You will accumulate things, and then also between the things you buy, your souvenirs for your family. So leave things in leave space in your suitcase for those things. Another question is, think about discuss why Singapore proved to be the right choice or wrong choice for you to study abroad. Sorry, I keep looking because there's like a window and like I saw someone walking by, so like it caught my attention. But why Singapore turned out to be the right choice for me, I don't think it was wrong. It was the right choice because 1, it is a great travel hub, and I cannot stress it enough. You've got Thailand, Vietnam, Cambodia, Laos within reach. You've got Malaysia right there. You can literally take a bus to Malaysia. And for me, that was important. I wanted to get the most out of my study abroad experience, and that included being able to travel as much as I was able to. Also, in Singapore itself, and why NUS was the best choice, it's because of the campus. I come from Georgetown, if you didn't know. But yeah, I come from Georgetown, where it's very, not small, it's not like your smallest school, but it's fairly small school. But NUS is so big. They use a shuttle system to literally get from class to class, depending on what faculty or field you're in. What else is different about it? The student life is also lively, which I really like. It's the same at Georgetown, and I kind of wanted that reflected. But of course, in Singaporean context, whatever that meant. What else did I think? Another great thing I think I loved about my experience as well is just how big the school was. I wanted to know kind of what would it feel like going to such a big school that, once again, you need to take a shuttle to get from point A to point B. What would it feel like to go to such a big school that seeing people often, that seems someone you recognize often isn't so much of a thing as Georgetown and other schools like it. So I do not regret my choice in any shape or form. NUS gave me one of the best experiences I could have in Singapore. So for the other questions, I will actually get more into my experience in Singapore itself as opposed to NUS. But everything else I can say about NUS is it's such a smooth sailing process, honestly. If you have questions about the dorming, about classes and all those things, NUS really walks you through from the time you apply to when you get there and even beyond. So all your questions right now, I'm pretty sure they're devising up an email right now to send to you. But one thing I will mention, one of my biggest tips for picking classes is use a website called NUS Mods. So basically, before you get your official schedule, this is just a website that allows you to create your schedule based off time, based off if they have exams, based off what days it is. So it helps you really create the perfect schedule. And of course, it might not always be right, but it helps you create like the perfect schedule to a certain extent. I was able to get a really good schedule that I was so happy with, and lots of people did not know about NUS Mods, so I really highly recommend using that before you pick your classes. And that would be like my only really big go-to. But everything else in terms of NUS, go there with an open mind. People are really friendly and they want to get to know you as an exchange student. So go there with an open mind, enjoy the campus. It's a beautiful campus, and just know that you're one of the best universities in Asia. Now let's get more into my experience in Singapore itself. So it says here, let's start with this question. Will you ever return to Singapore, either for vacation or in a professional context? Absolutely. So as much as I love Singapore because it was different, I also liked it because it was kind of similar to what I was used to. So Singapore is a very developed country. One of the best one of the best transportation systems I've ever seen. It's very accessible in terms of food. It's clean. I've never saw a lick of litter. That's a lick of litter. I've never seen a lick of litter on the floor before. So that's what I mean by it was comfortable. Like, I didn't go to a place where it was like necessarily a developing country, but it was also very different because I'm in a majority Chinese environment where, if you guys don't know, Singapore is made up of majority Chinese, but there's also Malays and Indians that are there. But basically, to say I'm in a place where point some percent of people actually look like me, you know. So that was also taking me out of context. But I would return to Singapore professionally. It's a place I could actually see myself living, and also I would go there for vacation because it's now another home to me. I know lots of friends, lots of Singaporean friends that I would love to visit someday as well. So there's that context. But with that being said, I do want to talk about being a person of color when you go abroad, and then I'll narrate a little bit into Singapore. I think it's very important for you to do your research as a person of color when you're going abroad, especially if the country is a place where you're a minority of minority. I mean, in the US, Black people are minority of minority. When you go to a place like Singapore, you are the minority of minorities of minorities. So definitely do your research about, you know, look up, if you go on YouTube, literally type in Black in China, Black in Spain, Black in blah blah, Black in blah, literally Black anywhere, and people have already experienced it. And of course, their experience might not be your exact experience, but it helps you to give you kind of landscape. Now, being Black in Singapore, to me, it was very different, but in the same way, lots of Singaporeans are educated, that I didn't feel the same when I went to China, as in people staring at me, people taking pictures. Granted, I did run into that a few times, but it was never in Singapore and more elsewhere in other like neighboring countries. But I would say, like, do your research, but also when you go as a Black person, do know that we are a group of people that I've always just been looked at. Like, society's always looking at us wherever we go. So in Singapore, I do think you will get some stares. You definitely will get some stares. I don't think the picture taken and like all the other extraness is as prominent in Singapore as it is like in, let's say, for example, China. So I didn't experience like the picture taken or any of the things that made me feel extremely uncomfortable. But I do know that you should really do your research as a Black person going abroad, wherever it may be. And if it's Singapore, from my experience, I can tell you, I didn't feel like I felt in China, which is like the only comparison I can give. Well, I went to Japan as well, but I just... So as a person of color going abroad, I would say do your research before you go abroad. Whether that's Singapore or anywhere else in the world, do your research of what it feels like to be Black in XYZ country. Now, not to say that whoever video you watch or wherever you get your information from, their experience will be your necessary experience, but it is worth kind of getting to have an idea of what it might be like. Also, on the other end, Singapore, being Black in Singapore, I personally, being at National University of Singapore, I had tons of Black friends. Most of them were Black people from London who had been in Singapore a semester already because we were doing a year there. Some people I met from church. So I never actually felt ostracized or felt like there was nobody there. I also got to networking a lot and found lots of different group chats on WhatsApp. One was called like Black in Singapore, one was called like Africans in Singapore. So I really put myself out there because I wanted to find that Black community in Singapore, because I know there's a Black community somewhere all around the world. So be proactive if you want more Black people around you wherever you may be. And for me, in my case in Singapore, I was lucky enough to meet a few Black people, and then they just kind of introduced me to their other Black friends, and then their other Black friends, and it just kind of expanded in that way. But in general, in Singapore, you will sometimes see a few Black people walking here and there. It's not like you will ever go around and never see a Black person. You would, but it's very, very few. But in terms of my experience of how Singaporeans treated me as a Black person, I never really felt like I can't compare it to anything, because the other times I went to Asia, at least, let me just use Japan and China as an example. China was a very extreme case where people are taking pictures, people are really staring, people are making me feel uncomfortable. I didn't feel like that in Singapore. Whereas Japan, people would just kind of stare but mind their own business. it also kind of was like that similarly in Singapore, where nobody ever took a picture of me, but people did kind of stare sometimes and here nor there. But I never felt extremely uncomfortable because a lot of Singaporeans are educated people. They are aware of what Black people are. They are Chinese, but because they've lived their whole entire life and they know Singapore to be their country, they don't necessarily act as other mainland native Chinese people do who live in China. But yeah, that was just my experience though. Once again, everyone's experience is different, but as a person of color going abroad, please do your research just so you can kind of get an idea. And once again, be open-minded and don't let anyone kill your vibe. That's really my last. Don't let anyone kill your vibe. Like, you know, people, don't let someone's opinion or whatever someone is saying about you affect you. Because I've been in horrid situations outside of Singapore when I went to Southeast Asia traveling, where people made me feel extremely uncomfortable. People literally point at me to laugh, all of that. But I did not allow that to get to me because this is my experience and I'm not gonna let someone dictate my experience for me. So, you know, kind of think of it like that in that situation, but make the most of it. Another frequently asked question is just kind of like, actually not frequently asked question, but if you guys have any questions, please place it down, link below, and I will literally comment back with the answers for you if I have them. But my last piece of advice I'd like to leave you off with would be, so now that I've gone through the program and now that I'm come back home, it's been actually exactly a month, how do I feel? And I feel freaking amazing. If you have chosen to go abroad, I am so proud of you because it's such an awesome chance to grow, such an amazing opportunity to get to know people and to just live outside your comfort zone, literally. And it really stretches you and molds you to be somebody else. No, that's not, no. It really stretches and molds you to grow as a person, professionally, academically. It helps you to balance because you're now in a place where, you know, the clubs aren't the same like you were back home, and you know, you don't have all these meetings, and it's now just really concentrating on school and concentrating on your personal development as well. So take advantage of it, be open-minded, know that we all look at things in a different perspective. Bring what you have to the table, but also be willing to listen to what others have to say. And just have fun. I'm so jealous that you're going back to NUS. NUS is amazing. It's a bomb school to choose. Also spread your wings, get to know other people at other neighboring schools in Singapore, network, have fun, and be lovely. Thank you guys for watching this. Once again, if you have any other questions about NUS specifically that I can answer for you, please comment down below and I will answer them. So yeah, bye guys, bye.